Today, we are grateful to have someone that I personally know and very much respect. Rachel Oslund is the General Manager at LodeStar Inspection Services. With over 20 years in the industry, she is highly regarded as an expert in the field. I personally have worked with Rachel for the past 7 years. She is my go-to person whenever I need to know more about a property. I've called LodeStar in for not only the properties that I manage, but also as an advisor before the sale when I am working with investors.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be on Beyond the Drywall.
So let's just get into it. Rachel, please share with us the things that you look for when doing an inspection.
Well, to start off, we look at things that are visible. That sounds obvious, but it's really important to keep in mind that we are looking at things that we can easily see. We can't take apart a house or damage a house to inspect it or any part of it, because it's not the owner who usually has us inspect it. So if we're inspecting it for a buyer who's going to buy it to live in it or to use it as an investment property, it's not their house yet. So we can't take down drywall and we can't see behind the walls. That's especially important to remember in historic homes or homes that have been significantly renovated or rehabbed. We don't always know what has been done to the house, but we know there have been upgrades and updates. We are looking at the property and the site, how the grading around the house can actually impact the home. Sometimes the grading of the yard can bring water into the house. It may be sloping toward the house. We need to mention that. We also need to talk about the exterior of the house. If it's brick veneer or siding or solid brick or stone. We talk about the condition of those items. We inspect that we can see. We also inspect the roof. We use a ladder up to 15 feet high when we're at a property by ourselves. We don't go any higher than that because it's just not safe for us. We can't tie ourselves off on the roof like a roofer would. It's not your house, and we have to be very careful to not damage any part of the house that you want to buy. So if we can't get on the roof, we'll use a drone and look at it, if the weather allows, and if the FAA allows. There are lots of airspaces where you can't fly a drone in the DMV, Maryland, DC, Virginia area, at least anywhere near an airport. It's not even allowed when you have your license to be able to fly a drone for commercial purposes. If we can't get on the roof, then we use binoculars to look very closely at the roof. We try to get an approximate age based on the wear of the shingles, what the roof is made of, and we are also looking at the flashing. We can see the gutters, the downspouts, and the rest of the attic. Once inside the attic, we look at the ventilation. We learn a lot from being in the attic and looking at the condition of the sheathing and the attic's construction. We are looking at the condition of the trusses, the rafters, insulation, and if things need to be addressed. We take pictures and put it all in the report. We also make suggestions as to the type of contractor you may need to hire.
What about the things that are not immediately obvious?
We're also running water from all of the fixtures, flushing all the toilets, running water in the bathtub, the shower, and the kitchen sink. We check all the appliances that are built into the house or were installed, like the washer and dryer, the dishwasher, the garbage disposal, the oven and the burners on the stove, the refrigerator. We want to make sure that everything that's there is working the way it's supposed to, and if it's not working the way it's supposed to, then we put all that in the report. We're telling you what we've inspected, and then we're telling you the stuff that's not right. We're also inspecting the HVAC system, which is the heating, ventilation, and cooling system, and we're giving you the estimated life expectancy of the HVAC system. We are also doing the same with the water heater. We know that both of those make people really nervous because they can be expensive to replace. So we want to give you as much information about those as possible. And if something's not working the way it's supposed, we are letting you know that you should have a discussion with the seller. Next, we're checking the electric panel. That is the only really invasive thing we do when we do an inspection. That is to take the cover off the electric panel. We are identifying what wire material is being used, where the main disconnect for the electricity to the house is so that in an emergency you can find it, and we're also checking all the receptacles, outlets, and the light switches, the fans, and all the things in the house to make sure they're working the way they're supposed. With the plumbing, we are checking all the drains. We want to make sure that the drains are flowing and that if there are any leaks. That's something we really hope to find during the home inspection. A home inspection is about 2 to 3 hours, and you have to realize that we are not going to find everything in 2 to 3 hours in the home that you will find after living there for a while. The goal is not to find every single thing that's not right about the house. The goal is to find the major things that will impact your ability to live there safely, so that you can decide how you want to move forward requesting the seller to fix something, or if you need to walk away from the purchase, or if you should try to offer a lower price on the house. Our goal is education and awareness, so that you can then move forward confidently with buying a house that you fell in love with.
Who needs home inspections?
There are multiple kinds of home inspections, not just when you're buying a house, but you might want a home inspection before you sell a house, or before you sell your parents' house, or your mom's house after your dad has passed away. A home inspection can really be a great way to maintain and save family relationships, because it provides you an objective view of what's going on with the house. For example, in an estate situation, when you're dealing with a property that family members are inheriting, the inspection can really make life easier for the siblings or all the people who are trying to figure out what to do with the house. You've got objective information from an inspector who has no skin in the game. We make our money by telling you the fact about the house so that you can then make an educated decision moving forward. Another type of inspection is one that is just done basically for investors. So an investor might use us the first couple of times they buy an investment property to inspect a house and then learn about what they should be looking for before buying an investment property. And then they may just use a home inspector to do an inspector walkthrough where we just spend an hour and walk through and talk about the property, giving you an objective set of eyeballs, sharing insights about what may need to be done or what might really require significant work. Because we're not trying to sell you on work, we're just giving you the lowdown on what's happening with the house before you make a decision. Another type of inspection is a full home inspection after the house has been rehabbed or flipped, just before you make your final payment to the contractor who did the work. That way you've got leverage and you don't have to worry about missing something that the contractor may have forgotten or missed. Your leverage is their final draw payment for the work they've completed. The items that the home inspector says should be done, super valuable to know and can save you a lot of time, money, and headaches. We also offer walk-in talks. That's just us walking through the property with you as a buyer for an hour. We don't provide a report, but we walk through and answer questions and educate you about the house so that you can decide if you want to move forward and make an offer.
Are home inspections simply a good or bad, yes or no scenario?
Some myths about home inspections. The first one is that there is such thing as a pass or fail, and there's not. A home inspection is not a pass or fail event. It is simply information that once you have, you then use it to decide what you want to do with. Some loan products require certain things to be fixed, but that has nothing to do with the home inspection itself. It has to do with the loan program. An example of something like that would be needing to install graspable handrails when there's more than 3 steps, or fixing a broken window that doesn't open that would need to be used as a means of egress if there were fire or an emergency in the home, or maybe sealing up, chipping, peeling, flaking paint in a house that was built before 1978. It might possibly be lead paint. If you're a lender, you might want that to be done. Or if there's broken glass in a window or a hole in the wall to the outside. All those things the lender might require. However, a home inspection is not a pass or fail. It's just objective information from someone who has no skin in the game. We're trained to just point out the things that are not the way they're supposed to be.
What about meeting local codes? Is that part of the process?
Home inspections are also not code inspections. A house actually doesn't have to meet current code to sell. What a surprise, right? They really just need to meet the code of the time that they were substantially renovated. So I have a house that I live in that's built in 1957, and when I bought it, it had never been renovated, and so the electrical system hadn't been updated, and there were not those GFCI receptacles, GFCI outlets with the little red and black buttons usually that you would push that are near water next to a sink or in the garage or outside or in the basement. You might see these. But in a house that hasn't been substantially renovated since it was built however long ago, if it was before, GFCIs were introduced into the building code. They aren't required. That's pretty surprising to a lot of people usually, because they'll bring over a family member or a friend who says, oh, this isn't up to code or that isn't up to code. Well, it doesn't technically have to be.
Home inspections. Are they like a necessary evil? What's the benefit?
Another myth is that a home inspection is a waste of money because it's just a visual inspection. We're not really doing or seeing more than you yourself. The buyer could see what an inspector sees. What a licensed home inspector's inspection provides is the ability to use that report to negotiate with the seller. This report can actually save you tens of thousands of dollars. The average home inspection is probably between $500 and $1,000 and is usually based on size. Having a second set of eyes look at things on your behalf and working for you is super valuable. Even if you paid $5,000 for a home inspection, if it ended up saving you $50,000 in headaches with the house later, I'm pretty sure we'd all consider that a win. There's no such thing as a perfect house. As a matter of fact, there's only two types of houses. Ones that have problems and ones that are gonna have problems. It's important to remember that. You want to know about those things so that you can move forward. So find the house that you like, knowing it's not going to be perfect. Then let the home inspector educate you on how to maintain the house to reduce the potential for major problems in the future.
What are some of the biggest problems you see as a home inspector?
The biggest problems that we see on inspections are usually related to water. A leaking roof can occur anytime because when the wind blows at just the right angle and at just the right speed, it can lift up shingles, or it can get in around the windows, those kinds of things. So water can definitely have an impact on the house, and if the downspouts are discharging, taking the water off the roof, down the gutters, into the downspouts, and discharging right at the foundation, then you're very likely to have a water problem in the basement and then have mold growth. Down there, mold is the four-letter word that's scarier than any other. And you can reduce the potential by keeping water away from the exterior of your house. Also, make sure your gutters are clear at all times. Even if you don't have trees losing leaves around your house, random weird stuff can end up in your gutters. That random buildup in your gutters can cause blockages, and then the water backs up, and it actually can go into your house, between the walls, and in the attic. So it's important to keep it clear. Sometimes birds build nests in gutters. You just never know. Make sure to clear the basement walkout, where you walk out of your basement. If you have one, then there are stairs going up outside to your yard level. There should be a drain down there at the basement lockout, and you've got to keep it clear. Leaves can blow in, or maybe something like a plastic bag could blow in there and cover that drain, and then you've got water like filling up in the basement lockout. It just goes right under the basement door and into your basement. What a mess.
How long do you have to submit reports to the buyer?
Usually after we inspect a property, the buyer has a couple of days to make a decision about whether they want to move forward to purchase or cancel the deal. It all depends on the contract that you and your realtor have submitted to the seller on the seller's agent. Sometimes you get 1 or 2 days after you say you want to buy the house and submit the contract, and sometimes you make it a week or 2 weeks. It just kind of depends on the market and what the norm is at the time. When I first started in home inspections, it was 2 weeks, and now I see it as few as 3 days, and it can also be as many as, I would say probably 14 is the most I've seen ever.
Are there any regional differences in rental inspections?
If you're working with rental properties, every jurisdiction has its own rules. Baltimore City and Baltimore County have differing requirements for their rental inspections, and it's a good idea to go to both of their websites to see exactly what their requirements are. But what they have in common is that they all need to have smoke detectors that are fewer than 10 years old. And that's because once they hit 10 years, they become less sensitive, so they're not providing the protection that you think they are. And if there's any fossil fuel burning items in the house, like a gas stove, or a fireplace, or a garage even that's attached to the house where you might park a car so that you could forget to turn off your car and leave it in there, then you've got to have carbon monoxide detectors as well. Those are two of the most basic things that all jurisdictions require in the rental properties.
So Rachel, if someone wanted to learn more about home inspections, how could they get in contact?
I'd say please either call 410-878-3039 or send an email to lodestar@lodestarinspections.com.
Wow, that's a lot of great information. Thank you, Rachel, for taking the time today to help explain everything. I know that my followers will appreciate your valuable insight. Home inspections can definitely help an investor in making the right decision. Not only that, but it can also aid things along on the negotiating table. Follow me for more on how to make better investment decisions on Beyond the Drywall.